All right, what's up, y'all? So we just finished watching this movie called Locked. It has the wonderful Bill Skarsgård and the OG Anthony Hopkins in it, and it's basically a tale of keep your hands to yourself, don't steal people's shit. You never know who you'll run into. So Bill Skarsgård is a character named Eddie, and Eddie is just like some deadbeat loser, has an ex and a daughter, and he seems to not be around because he's too busy trying to like hit a lick, as they say. And he has his car and this like I don't know what does that do, like a gangster mechanic or something? Was that a chop shop? Like
They're all gangster mechanic. All mechanics are gangster.
especially in that town, it seems. So I guess he got his van fixed. And he didn't pay the dude back. And dude was like, run me my money and get the fuck out of here. You know, he's out here calling people, trying to see what money he could get, trying to borrow money. Got a couple lottery tickets that didn't hit. And then, you know, he's just walking around and he sees this, oh man, I thought it was a Bentley when I saw it, you know. It looked like it. I mean, and he saw this like super expensive car, hits the door, unlocks, then goes inside. He's obviously gonna steal the car. All of a sudden he gets locked inside, he can't get out. So he gets a call from William. We're just gonna call him Hannibal. Hannibal just starts going in on him about how he shouldn't have stole his car and lecturing him. Well, first he actually kind of runs down his like whole life and stuff, and which was funny. And like, you know, homie's trying to break into the car. He ends up slicing his finger. And the crazy thing is like he's like beating the windows. Like me and you talked about how he's like hitting the windows with this tire iron, and ain't a dent in the window, a scratch, not a crack. And then he pulls out a gun and shoots it, and then bullet ricochets, ends up in his leg.
Why would you think that was a good idea? Like, if you're doing everything in your power to break these windows and not even one crack on the window, why would you shoot the window?
Yeah.
Like,
right?
What are you doing?
And so the bullet lodges like right in his calf, I think it was, and he's leaking. He tries to tie a tourniquet to stop it. William didn't even see it in the least bit phase, just keeps talking about his life, which was really pretty funny. And then homie passes out and then he wakes up and you see that he's been bandaged up. And then William calls him again, answers the call. It's like, look, I don't even need you to answer this. Which was wild. And he just goes on. It's just this psychological and physical.
Like a cat and mouse type of, no, not cat and mouse. I'm sorry.
It was just torture. He was just mental. He was just psychologically, physically torturing this guy. At first, you don't even know his end game was. You know what I'm saying? Which you don't really kind of learn to like the very, very end.
Yeah. You kind of learn maybe more so why he's doing it, but not even really. Do you ever really learn what the end game is? You just kind of learn why he might be doing it. And I mean, he's the boomer final boss. You know what I mean? Like, if you've heard there's a problem with your generation, this is what they turn into with the resources. And he really was he
was using buzzwords too, like triggered and canceled. It was hilarious.
He was like not happy with the state of the world, but he's also unhappy with his own personal story, which he tells later on in the story. But he goes through this whole process of like psychologically torturing this guy, whether it be making the car too hot and then he gets thirsty and he ends up having like a water bottle underneath the seat the entire time, or he has a cookie in the glove compartment and he's over there starving, up to the point where he actually drink his own piss or makes it too cold. He just always takes him to the brink.
Sleep deprivation with the music.
Right, and then he gives him a little crumb of something to relieve him. And at some point, he's talking about just punishment for people taking stuff that don't belong to them. And at one point, he's like, in some countries they cut off their hand, and you know, like if they steal.
So the point was basically before William had quoted somebody, and Eddie was able to accurately know who the person was. So he was like a little taken aback by that because he thought he was just street trash. He's like, you went to college? No, I didn't go to college. I'm self-taught. Just because I'm in the street don't mean I'm stupid. So then that's when he brought up the whole like, because I've heard this all my life about how, you know, it's funny how like people like William will like denigrate like Middle Eastern countries, but when it comes to punishment, they're like all for it, right?
They love it. They love it.
They love it. And so that's when he brought up the hand cut. And some countries they cut your hand off. And Eddie was like, no, that's a myth. They send you to jail like everybody else. And so that's when he's like, so what happens to repeat offenders? And he's like, they cut off 4 fingers. So basically your hand, but they don't cut it off at the wrist, basically.
So he's like, well, give me your social security number and your name. And if you are not a repeat offender, I'll let you go. And so
and that's what Eddie's like, So when William gave him a cookie, he saw like, because it was automatic, he could see the fuse box. And then so when William got a call and he was distracted, he tried to pull the fuse out, which his nail got bent off the finger, which was terrible. William, I guess, came back to his console, whatever has the cameras. The car is completely fitted with audio and video recording, has like electric shock in every part of the car. So no matter where he could sit. So he's like, what are you doing? Let me see your hands. He starts shocking him and stuff. So he's like, for like, I'll say like half the movie trying to get this fuse out with his toe. And so he got like a bloody foot. And I'm like, oh my God, don't show his toenail coming off.
So at one point, he attempts to like start the car. So the thing with William is that everything is remote. He's able to control everything, and he'll at some point just play with him like cat and mouse type of thing. So he starts the car, and he's thinking, "Oh, we in business. We about to move," and then he just stops the car in his tracks. And that's when Eddie realizes. I don't know why he wouldn't think this to begin with, but
because none of the doors would open, the windows, but the car would drive. Like, come on.
Right. So William was like, "Oh, you want to go for a ride?" So he starts driving the car, and he starts again going into his boomerang about the state of the world and how people in seemingly safe neighborhoods are still afraid. It shows that they're still uneasy about where they live, and more so to just for him to highlight the fact that we don't live in a safe society. And he starts talking about like the miscreants and the trash and the people that Eddie is a part of, or at least according to him, Eddie is a part of. And so he starts like speeding through the streets.
Wait, don't forget what Eddie was bringing up, how Eddie's fucked up for everybody. Like, he was like, you just some rich motherfucker. He's a lot of us is on the bottom fighting for scraps. He's like, I like how both of them had a point in a way.
Yeah.
You know, and like Eddie was like, it's rigged, it's fucked up. The rules are written by rich people to work for rich people. And at the same time, Eddie didn't know where William came from. William is an English immigrant. You don't know, he could have came to this, he's from Wales, he told you where he was from. He could have came here poor and worked his way up. You don't know, he could have started his own practice or became a doctor. Well, he was a doctor actually. So he could have became a doctor, started his own practice, and just got rich off his efforts as a doctor. Same thing with William. William don't know how Eddie grew. Eddie could have had a drug addicted mom, an abusive dad, or a dad that's not there. He just probably was fucked from the beginning. He didn't, you know what I'm saying? Nobody knows how the other grew up, but at the same time, they only see the side that they came from. I did like that little back and forth, because you could see where both of them could come from in that conversation.
And it highlighted the misconceptions that they both had about each other, and how people do that to the people that they come across.
Yeah, they dehumanize both sides. Like, poor obviously dehumanize rich folks dehumanize the poor.
Yeah. And so William is like, you know what? He just decides to
take him on a joyride.
Right. He takes him on a joyride, and he's like speeding around, and he pulls into this alley, and these guys are like in the alley fighting. He's like, look, you wanted me to take you home. I'm taking you home. Hey, we're home. These are your people. And so you called, he's like, he gonna run them over.
I already knew it. You got a bomb-proof, bulletproof car, you running somebody over with that shit.
He revs that bitch up and runs over one of them.
Full speed. Like he ran over a can.
Yeah.
Like, Jesus.
The other one starts running, and he gets to a dead end. But yeah,
that was the most gruesome part.
And he's like, he decides not to run him over full speed. He decides to crush him.
Yes, slowly.
With the car, slowly. And so Eddie is like tripping. Like, he don't know. Like, he's like, don't do this. And so he starts to crush him, and he does it again. And then he's like, all right, if he stands up, I'll let you go. So the guy he's trying to get up. You see him trying to get up. Eddie's over there wishing that this guy could fucking
He's like, come on, man. Come on.
As soon as his head is in sight, rams right into the guy's head into the gate.
It popped it
Well,
like a balloon.
rams the guy's head into the gate. Yeah, pops it like a balloon. Eddie is like
Distraught. Like, that broke
he don't
him.
know what the hell to do with
Broke
himself at
him. He
this
was
point.
broken at that
Yeah.
point.
At some point, he gets knocked out. Some point after he kills the guy, he ends up where his daughter
Yeah,
goes
you're
to
right.
school at, and
You're
so
right.
he's like, and at some point he had mentioned that he visited the daughter and the wife, the ex, and he's like, yeah, I went in and I just told him that I was there to help women who their exes owe back child support, and so he gets on his ass about owing back child support or whatever, and alludes to him just being a piece of shit for owing money. And the daughter's on her little scooter, going home, and like, let's see how street smart she is. This guy's diabolical. And
Wait,
so the
let's
little
mention one
girl,
thing. Now, she is little, and it happens. But this little girl was not street smart. She was not paying attention to no cars driving around. This guy is just coasting behind her the whole time. She ain't even noticing it. And at first, I was trying to see if she had like some headphones on, some earbuds. I'd be like, that would make
she
sense.
wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, like what? And then the only time she noticed the car is when it almost hit her.
So he basically is, teasing Eddie by speeding up behind her, and then at one point he actually comes close to hitting her, but he only moves the car because Eddie puts the gun up to his head and pulls the trigger,
Mm-hmm.
and so he moves the car, and he's like, okay, and then after that, that's when he ends up like losing it, and he's like, I'm done with this, and he starts pulling shit out the cameras out. He starts kicking and stuff, and he's at the harbor. Anthony Hopkins walks up to the damn car, and he's like, let's go for a drive. And he's tied up, and he has a joint, which I don't know why the hell he would smoke that joint, but he
I
has
don't know,
a
was
joint
it
and gummy bears.
ECP?
Like, what are you doing? What would you do? I guess at this point, he's like, well, what more can you lose?
You know what I think what he was doing? It was because he kept asking for it. So he was like giving him like his last request before he take him out, So he's give him a little smoke before he go out,
And he was like, look, we have to, he even made a comment like, well, I got to teach you a little bit more about music before you die. Like, so he's like, yeah, I'm going to take you on a drive. And they end up driving, and he's playing the fucking classical music. They're driving up a mountain or whatever, far away from like, where they need to be at.
I'm pretty sure he was gonna torture him because if you remember, after he made him zip tie himself to the thing, he had like a bag of tools that he put in the back.
Yeah, that's what I thought we were gonna get, like a Hannibal Lecter type of scene. It was
gonna feed him his foot.
So they're driving, and he's still messing with this fuse, and he's talking to him. And this is when he talks about the fact that his daughter had been murdered in
a robbery.
Basically, in a robbery by, I guess, people who Eddie reminded him of.
Thieves. Yeah, they were being robbed. Yeah. And I think he said they only got like $1,500, and then ended up shooting his daughter. And he said that like she pointed at her neck, and all she said was like "daddy, daddy," and she died. So obviously that traumatized him and broke something inside of him. And it seems like he's done this before, so I don't think Eddie was his first.
So Eddie starts to sort of like do the psychological, like, banter where he's like,
he turned it on him. He saw William fucked up and told him what his sensitive spot was, which was his daughter. And that was it.
And it's funny that you say that, because I think that's the difference. And I think to some degree, maybe that's what was different about him, is that, and you saw this earlier with the Battle of the Wits type of thing, where he got to see he wasn't just someone that he would be able to outsmart, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so once Eddie saw that was his weakness, that was a sore spot for him, he just started to like, fuck with him and talk to him while he's still trying to get that fuse underneath there. And so he finally gets the fuse as they're speeding up a hill.
Around a corner. That's what it was. He was coming up on a corner.
And he hits the fuse, and they hit the damn edge and fall off it wasn't like a big cliff, but it was like the car flips too, right?
It hits the railing, goes off, and then it kind of nosedives, because that was a heavy car, so it would nosedive. But luckily, the way it hit, it didn't like completely go in the whole front end. I think it made it hit and then rolled forward. And when they hit, that's when William had a gun up to Eddie's head. and he pulled the trigger by mistake, and it like ricocheted around and like caught him in like his chest or something, on his back.
That shit was like a ping pong thing. It ricocheted the windshield to the side window, I think it was.
Yeah, right
To the
around
back
Eddie's
window.
head.
Yeah, and then right through to William's shoulder. And so when they both wake up after the car lands, they both wake up, but William is shot, and he's like, yeah, he's old. I think he said he had cancer.
He's
So
dying from
yeah,
cancer. He only had a couple months
yeah.
to live. So what happened was the message that he sent, and that kind of starts to stir what's the name. So then he was like, oh shit, and that's when he starts rubbing the zip tie against the little like screw part there to get loose. And that's when you see William kind of waking up. And before he could wake up and grab that gun, boy, Eddie got out and beat the shit out of him.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
beat the absolute shit out of him.
The dog shit out of him. And right before he was about to finish, that's when his daughter called.
Right.
And William told
him. Finally got the message that he tried to send earlier. He's in the middle of beating the shit out of William. William's like, take the call. So he takes the call, even though he's a psychopath, clearly. Obviously, the daughter is a weak spot, I guess you could say. Mm-hmm. And so he takes the call and he talks to his daughter. He just gets out the car, had his lottery ticket, because earlier he realized that he didn't finish scratching off his scratch off, and he actually had won $500, which is how much he needed for his car to the mechanic. So he has lotto ticket, he has his phone, and he tells his daughter on that phone call that he's going to pick her up. He's on the road, he hitchhikes, he gets a ride, he gets to the mechanic, and he's trying to get his car, but the mechanic's like, you gotta give me 40 minutes because your car's all the way on the other end of the lot. But he has to pick up his daughter at the time, and he didn't want to be late. So he ends up buying a little pink bike that the
sold
mechanic
his van
had,
and bought the bike.
And they end up with him just hugging his daughter, and that's how that ends. It was a good movie. It was a really good movie. I like the psychological back and forth. I like movies like that where you're like, all right, what is this person gonna do? Is why I liked Heretic, is why, I like stuff like that.
But this is a particular movie that they've done this a few times in Hollywood where the movie takes place in like one area. Phone Booth was like another movie like that. I don't know if you ever seen Phone Booth.
Yes, I've seen that.
Yeah, so it's similar to that. And so, so would you recommend this? Did you say this is a good one?
Yeah, definitely. If you are into, even if you're not into like suspense and all like that, I think anybody could enjoy it. I would definitely recommend it. Sure.
It was definitely a thriller. It came out this year, so if you want to give it a watch, go ahead and I guess give it a Google or whatever, see what platforms is on. I'm not sure which ones they're on, but I don't know, I enjoyed it. I liked it. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Good.
Yeah, but yeah, y'all, love y'all. See you on the next one.
Yeah.